Friday, Friday. I've made it another week. Oh my goodness. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Living the dream, living the dream.
Nothing else but living the dream.
Jeff, I think this is the first time Jeff has joined us at the beginning of the show. Is it?
Yeah. Normally he jacks in about 3 to 5 minutes into the show.
Okay. All right. What's going on in your life, Jeff, that you can just sit and wait for us today?
Oh, everything's pretty good. You know, the bills are paid, got money in the bank, and food on the table. That's all you can ask for, man.
That's all.
I hear you, brother. The bills are paid. The wolf's away from the front door, and right. I ain't going hungry.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let Timmy check in first and tell me what his week is like. Timmy, you got it?
Yeah. So as you know, I was up in Boston this past weekend. Woke up Friday morning. It was below freezing, and it warmed up for a little bit on Saturday, but Sunday and Monday, I was ready to get out of there. The week down here in Florida ain't been bad. It took a little acclimatizing to get back to mid-90s and humid.
Wow.
What do you consider cold, Timmy?
What for me these days, as soon as it goes under 70, it's cold.
That's warm to me.
I figured it was going to be something like that, like below 88. When he opens his refrigerator, he gets cold.
Actually, Paul, as soon as the humidity goes away, I'm cold. Oh. It could be 85, but no humidity. I'm cold.
Wow.
What are you gonna do, man, with this global warming? You gonna be all right?
Global what? Oh, the climate change that's going on. Oh, okay.
Yeah. When the ice age comes back, you're going to be screwed.
Well, I'm old enough, and I think you are too, to remember that back in the 70s, they were telling us there was going to be another ice age, and that we needed to go melt the polar caps to prevent it.
Sure was.
And we had the blizzard of 78.
We had snow back then.
So they weren't half wrong.
I was reading up the other day about this core sample they pulled up in the Arctic Circle that shows at one point in time the Arctic Circle was a tropical climate.
Okay, yeah, I can believe it. You believe in Pangea?
This is not the first time that the climate has changed this drastically. They say the last time they're attributing it to too much carbon stuck in the atmosphere from volcanic eruptions and such. This time it's man causing the same problem.
Yeah, Kilauea, or one of those. But I mean, we've had those things caused extinctions, Timmy. They caused extinctions.
Hoax.
Here's the thing that gets me
find me a dinosaur, Timmy.
Hey, didn't you see that T-shirt that I shared out? The two dinosaurs sitting there saying this whole global extinction thing is just a hoax as the media is coming in for a landing.
But they've actually found little small as the ice has melted back up in Greenland and all. They've actually found towns that were there that were covered up in these glaciers for, I guess, thousands of years. So at some point, it must have warmed up back then.
It does.
A whole town found in a glacier?
No, what it exposed once the glacier ice had melted away. It exposed a town that had been under ice for all those years.
Wow.
So at one point, it must have been warming back in that time for them to sell that far up north.
Hey, Paul?
Yeah, I believe that. I've got no problem. I'm a firm believer in Pangea, the one continent that drifted apart to make the...
Hey, Paul?
Yes.
Next time you're down in Florida, I'll take you over to Sawgrass Lake and I'll show you some dinosaurs. They start out as little itty-bitty eggs, and they grow to be 14, 15 feet long, and don't mess with the babies when mama's around.
What are you talking about, the dragons?
No, gators.
Oh, gators. Yeah, that's the last of the dinosaurs. I ain't mad at you. I'll agree. I'm surprised we have to go that far. Aren't they just up the street in that little pond by your house?
Nah, well, they did find one in that pond right across from my house. He went almost 8 foot. But they've taken steps to make sure they can't swim through the drainage pipes anymore. So we do have to go up the street to Sawgrass Lake, but it's only a couple of miles away from my house.
Listen, if they come through the toilet, they'll come through that pond.
They ain't gonna come through the toilet unless you got a broke pipe in your backyard. Ain't no way in my city with all this field sewer, some snake or gator is gonna get up in your toilet line and climb into your house.
Are you sure? Because I mean, I hear about that happening all the time,
dude. And every time it happens, they go out and take a look in the backyard, and there's a broke sewer pipe.
And that's how they get into that stuff.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff, how'd your week go, baby? What are you doing down there?
It's been busy. I had a good week, but it's been busy. I've been running up down the road this week. Hadn't had time to watch much TV or nothing like that, but doing what I like, so I'm happy about it. And, go a couple of places I hadn't been before. The leaves are changing colors here now. We're starting getting towards peak, leaf changing. So go up towards the mountains of West Virginia. It's beautiful up here right now. Absolutely gorgeous scene.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
What town did you go to that you hadn't been to before?
I went on the other side of Bluefield. It's a little town called Hecklerburg. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the other side of Bluefield. It's way up. It's like 4,400 feet up.
Okay.
Up and you look down in the valleys and all, just absolutely gorgeous. It's everything's red and orange, and the colors, all the spectrum is absolutely gorgeous.
One streetlight, one stoplight town, or a big?
It's got 2 stoplights, I believe.
It's an area that's full of people known as Appalachian Americans.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they don't have a supermarket. It's got like small independent, like IGA stores.
Okay.
So it's it's a hustling little. It's a coal miners' town, pretty much. They got a lot of coal.
What are they doing? What are they doing? Are they still mining coal?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
But the other thing they're doing, they get a lot of gas up and down in West Virginia now. A lot of those coal mines they've been abandoned, they're going back and drilling gas out of them now. Fracking for gas.
Don't let the secret out, Jeff, because they'll come shut them down.
Oh, well, they try to build this pipeline now. Comes out of Ohio, Mountaineer Pipeline. There's 2 of them actually, and they're fighting that thing tooth and nail.
My wife's family is all around Ohio area, central and northern Ohio. And one time we went back for a family reunion of hers and ended up on some uncle's farm out in Podunk town in Ohio. And he's sitting on about 150 acres of almost dead flat field with a couple hundred head of cattle in there.
Yeah.
So I said to him, kind of strange that this thing is like laser flat. And he said, when I bought this, it was a hill. And they discovered coal in that hill. I leased the land out to a coal mining company. They strip mined it, back graded it, planted the grass. I bought the cows. Now, he says, you see out there in the middle of it, that gas pump? I said, yep. He said, every time that thing goes up in the air, my bank account goes up.
Yep. Yeah, that's part of the Michelle fields. That's what they call it. Runs through West Virginia, Kentucky. It actually goes up to New York, but New York's actually banned them from drilling up there. The state of New York has.
Well, this isn't fracking. This isn't fracking.
No, this is strip mine. He strip mined the coal out of it. When the coal company gave up on the strip mining because there wasn't no more coal, they discovered a big pocket of natural gas.
Yeah.
So they set up a well, a gas pumping well, in the middle of the field. And so he's got the cows out there, and he's making money off of the cows, plus stocking his deep freeze. And he's got this the gas well out there, and every time the pump goes up, it's another gallon or another whatever they measure it by for natural gas, and he gets paid royalties.
Nice. I mean, enough to not work for the rest of his life, or what?
And you know what he paid for that land back in 1950 something?
Nothing. $500 probably.
No, he probably got it in the land grab.
$3,000 he paid for the land.
Wow.
He said his wife almost divorced him over it. Right? We're talking a couple of 100 acres of land, $3,000 in the 50s. And he said to me, I had an option to buy another piece of land on the other side of town.
And he wished he did.
Same price. She told me if I did buy it, she was going to divorce me. He said, then I'll strip mining that land.
Nice.
Even had a man-made lake on the property.
I wouldn't touch that lake. That water.
I don't think I swim in that lake.
Yeah,
The whole family was up swimming in that lake, and they was fishing in that lake.
Ooh.
Well, I guess natural gas is natural gas. Maybe it just helps keep you buoyant.
I wouldn't be eating anything to come out that lake, but
That's what I'm talking about. I put a cigarette lighter into it first, see if it lights up.
I know a lake in Scituate that I love fishing, catch some nice large bass in it and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't eat a damn thing that came out of it because they built an unlined landfill right next to it.
Oh Lord.
Oh my goodness.
You know the pits. You remember the pits?
I remember the pits.
Yeah, they built an unlined landfill right next to it, and so that water was polluted big time.
So what do you guys think? COVID coming back down there in Virginia? You guys hot?
We're flat right now, which we're lucky because everybody around us, his numbers are going way up.
Yeah.
The funny thing is the states that told us we were crazy for coming out of lockdown are the states where the numbers are going up, but they stayed in lockdown, but their numbers are going up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because people stopped locking down. You know what I mean? The lockdown was in effect, but people were ignoring it.
I went up to Massachusetts over the weekend, and they're telling me, oh, yeah, before you land here, if you don't want a quarantine in place for 14 days, you better come in with a negative COVID test.
That's right.
The sample can't be more than 72 hours old, blah, 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 blah.
I've been hearing too.
I got the COVID test, the one that takes 48 hours to get the results so that I could prove I was COVID free, so I didn't have to quarantine.
Uh-huh.
And then at the airport, leaving out, our airport down here is piloting a program where you can get your COVID tests at the airport. You can do the rapid or the 48-hour COVID test at the airport. So I said, oh, what the hell? Let me get a rapid COVID test as well. So I get on this airplane. I got 2 COVID tests saying I'm negative. Massachusetts should have no way of telling me I got a quarantine in place for 14 days, right?
That's right.
I get off the plane. I go from the gate to the car rental place, pick up my rental car, and go to my cousin's house. And nobody asked me for my COVID test.
Wow. You reckon they had did the airline forward the information that you was negative ahead of time or what?
Nope, because the airline didn't even ask me for it.
Oh, I see.
But I had to go. I did go online. The state of Massachusetts requires you to go online to their state COVID site and fill out this online questionnaire thing and submit it, and then print out a copy to carry with you when you travel. And I had all that with me and everything, and nobody even called the place I was staying at or my cell number to say, are you quarantining in place? Can we come by and look at your paperwork?
Well, how do you know that the test results weren't forwarded electronically?
That's what I was.
Because nobody asked me where I was going.
But I mean, your social security numbers on the test, no identifying information at all that they could link with the flight.
Nope.
Wow.
So it sound like that they just bluffing people. Then they're not really.
Well, I mean, that's what TSA is all about, bluffing people. They ain't caught nobody yet.
Right. It's not TSA. This is supposed to be
the state,
Massachusetts Department of Health.
Yeah, they're not following through with it. They're just trying to. I guess they're doing word of mouth, trying to discourage people, even though they're not really enforcing. I'm saying, like in your
right. I mean, it's kind of enough to tell people the hassle they're going to experience to stop them from going. So that would calm down. That would limit exposure.
So the other thing is all bars are still supposed to be closed up there, but they gave restaurants the ability to seat at the bar for food, but nobody can just sit down and drink. Thursday night, Junie and I went out and we sat down at a bar and nobody asked us if we were going to order food. They just kept putting our drinks up. No, you can't sit right at the bar. So they took the square high top and pushed it up against the bar. So you're sitting at a high top, but close enough to the bar that the bartender can reach over and hand you your drink. And nobody asked us, are we going to order food? But we did eventually, of course, but nobody asked.
They were pushing the alcohol first.
Right. So on Friday, that was Thursday night. On Friday, I went by an American Legion I used to belong to up in Hanover, Mass. And I walked in, and there's like maybe a dozen people in there drinking. And I order a beer, and I go to walk away from the bar, and the guy says, whoa, come back. You got to order some food, too. I looked at it, I said, seriously? He said, yeah, best thing I can do for you is I got a hot dog cost $1. I said, so in other words, you're telling me this beer just cost me $3.95 instead of $2.95.
Right, but I mean, you could eat that hot dog through 4 or 5 beers, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, you only had to order one hot dog. No matter how many beers you were drinking, you only had to order one hot dog.
I saw some restaurant up there did some kind of dish where it tastes like a potato chip, but it's like for 50 cents. So it's classified as food. That's how they circumvene around that requirement. You know?
Here in Florida, they have a way of defining what's a bar and what's a restaurant, and that's by the percentage of your income, your nightly income that comes from serving food.
That's what Virginia does too.
So any place that's still declared a bar can actually allow smoking indoors.
Is that right?
Yep.
Not Virginia. Virginia's smoke free on anything.
Yeah, no, if you fit the criteria of a bar, and I know a couple of places that actually cut back on their food menu so that they could fall below the criteria to be qualified as a bar so they could continue allowing smoking indoors.
Wow.
What Virginia did is you got to have a separate area that's got separate ventilations and separate bath facilities for smokers.
When I was up in Massachusetts, when they instituted it in Mass, the place that I met my wife at that she was working at, they had just spent a couple of $100,000 on this smoke eater system. So you could sit there. You remember Jamie's Pub, don't you, Paul? And Citrus Senate?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you could sit in that place and the person at the table next to you smoke a cigarette and they blow cigarette smoke out and it would go straight up. There was so much suction going on in this place. And the state turned around and said, we don't care. You can't serve. You cannot allow indoor smoking anymore, period.
What's the resale value on that? Can you put those babies on Craigslist?
What, the smoke eaters?
Yeah.
Paul looking for a deal.
Jamie's Pub ain't no more. It decided to have a cigarette break on its own one night and burnt right to the ground.
Damn.
Now, Jamie's is the one in Minot Square, right?
Yeah, in North Citrus Center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's there now?
Nothing. Nothing.
Burger King?
No, nothing. Because of the new laws, the way they are, they cannot get enough dry land far enough away from the swamp that's behind it to put in a septic system. And Scituate hasn't run town sewer through that center yet.
Wow. What? How can you not run sewer through your center?
Dude, when I sold my house in 2000, even though they had the contracts already signed saying they were running sewer down Stockbridge Road in 2001, I still had to pay $25,000 to have a new septic system put in my yard that the guy who bought my house a year later had to turn around and spend $20,000 to connect that house up to town sewer.
Wow. So they got $45,000 for you guys for nothing.
And the worst part was the guy that bought my house, he was a friend of mine. He's a plumber. And it still cost him $20,000 to make the hookup, even though he ran the plumbing by himself. Because of the way the law is, he could only run the plumbing to within X amount of feet of the street. Right. Then he had to hire the town of Scituate sewer department to make the final connection.
That's the money.
And they had to dig the hole too. I mean, it could have been a 4-hour job if you just did it right?
Well, he brought the line right to the border where they told him he had to stop, and they picked up from there and dug it the rest of the way out to the street and tapped it into the main. Meanwhile, the cost of that permit, just the permit, went from $500 to $5,000.
Wow.
They got to make it somewhere.
A lot of people in Greenbush had to take out a loan from the town of Scituate because you had no choice. Once they had that line servicing, but in front of your house, you had to connect. You had no choice.
Well, see, I think that's a crock of crap because here in Lynchburg, I live on. If you already got on, sewage already, you're not required. Now they can run the line through from your property.
Yeah,
but they don't make you. And a lot of times they run a new line, they'll give you the option to hook onto it, and at a substantial discount. If you don't take it, then you go back later on, then you're gonna pay like hell to get back on. But they'll require you to do it.
And that was the killer part, Jeff, was because we knew that house was going to be getting town sewer in a year. So we went at my property, the real estate agent went around and attempted to find a bank because state law at that time, there was a thing called Title V. And so if you're selling your house or making enough improvements that you could be adding on a bedroom,
right,
then you had to get a Title V inspection. Now, when they did the Title V inspection on my house, even though the septic system passed with flying colors as functioning well within parameters,
right,
because the aggregate could be seen inside the tank, they failed the inspection and said, okay, you sell this, you got to do a Title V. We said, okay, wait a minute. Town sewer is going to go by in a year. How about if we can find a bank that's willing to just escrow the money for a year, but then let the new owner hook up the town sewer? And they said, no, you've got to do the Title V regardless.
Right.
Why couldn't you just wait 12 months and sell the guy 12 months later?
Because I borrowed the money to buy this house I'm living in Florida now. I needed to pay my wife's grandmother back.
Right, but I mean, he'd still be paying you rent during that year, so
right,
you got
right.
cash flow.
I had people that I needed to pay money back to, so I just said the heck with it. And but the killer part was I had to take $47,000 of my profit and put that in an escrow account, and still have $25,000 to pay the contractor. Once I paid the contractor and he signed off that everything was complete and filed it with the town of Scituate, then I got my $47,000 back.
So they held on to that for a year and got the interest off of that money.
Well, that was in my account, but I had to show it as escrowed.
Okay.
You couldn't touch it. It's kind of like a bond.
Right, right.
Yeah. Even though the guy come in and said $25,000 to do the job, they make you get 3 quotes. And I took the one guy come in at $10,000, one guy come in at $25,000, another guy come in at $40,000. So they decided $47,000 was the escrow amount.
Wow.
Then come to find out, the game that started being played was contractors like the guy that come in at $10,000. He'd tell you $10,000, get to the point where you owe him the last payment, and he's going to sign off on everything, and he hands you the last payment, and it's like $60,000. And then he says to you, dude, do you want your escrow back? You're going to pay me.
I need the escrow back to pay you, fool.
Right. The guy that I went with.
You mean he placed the price at the last minute on you?
Yeah.
That's
because they know that without
got you behind the 8 ball. I got you.
Without their signature, you ain't getting your escrow back. So you'll
dirty.
So the guy that I ended up hiring was a former boss of my father. And so he was like, when the time came, he said, okay, so when am I going to get my final $10,000 payment? And I said, CJ, I need you to submit the paperwork with the city, the town of Scituate, so I can get my escrow money back. And he's like, oh, they haven't given you escrow? Oh, no problem. I submitted that. And now just send me the extra $10,000 when you got it.
Nice. But had you not been a friend of the family, it would have been a different story. Is that what you're saying?
Possibly, because a lot of people were complaining about that happening, that these contractors were all of a sudden, when it come time for the last payment, were jacking that last payment way up and then saying, if you want your escrow money back, you need my signature. You don't pay me what I'm asking, you don't get my signature, you don't get your escrow money back. Then I put a mechanic's lien on your property because you owe me money, and I have a signed contract that shows you owe me money.
Man, they get you coming.
We live in.
Okay, they get you coming.
You have to pay attention.
Why do people have to be so wicked?
When I put the solar on the roof, they made me fill out all this paperwork and sign this notification that I understood what a mechanic's lien was and how it functions. And I said to the contractor, I said, so you are going to provide me with proof positive you have paid all your suppliers and any subcontractors so that I know you can't slap a mechanic's lien on my house.
Explain the mechanic's lien. I don't know.
So anytime that you contract with somebody to put a new roof on, make an addition, what have you, okay? If you, what they can do is they put what's called the mechanic's lien on your house. And if you don't pay them in full, they can turn around, like a bank has a lien on your house.
Yeah, get a judgment.
They have a lien on your house. So if you try to sell your house, there's a lien there to come up in the deed search, and that they get paid when you go try to sell your house.
Yeah.
I'm not against that.
I'm not against it either, but several shady business people have actually used the mechanic's lien to beat a homeowner up for additional money after the fact. So if you don't, like, I'll tell you what happened to my cousin out in Wisconsin is he bought this house in Wisconsin, and he bought it at a great deal because it needed a new roof. And so he said, no, I'll pay for the new roof. Well, he hires the company, comes in, gives them a great price. They're going to put a new roof on and put solar onto it. So he's all set. This is great. Then he gets to talking to one of the laborers, and the guy says, oh yeah, he says, this guy hasn't paid us for the last 4 jobs we've done for him. We're subcontractors, and so we're putting taking him to court to sue him. Well, bingo, right there. That tells my cousin that this subcontractor can put a mechanic's lien on his house as well, because the contractor hasn't paid the subcontractor or hasn't paid for the materials.
So the contractor can put a mechanic's lien, and the subcontractors can put it.
So if
the subcontractors don't go after the contractor, they go after the homeowner.
Because the homeowner is where the materials are that are worth the money.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're holding equity.
Right. That makes sense.
So I just signed a contract last month to have all new windows put all the way 100% around my house. And the guy says to me, well, you didn't have to wait till you had 100% of the money in the bank to sign the contract. And I flipped up the form for the mechanic's lien, and I said, this said I did. I'm not going to let you go order the materials until I'm sure I can pay you to install everything. And that way there, I know you paid for the materials when you ordered them. Otherwise, your provider, your supplier wouldn't have delivered the materials. But now you can't come back and say, I didn't pay you for your labor.
Well, how do you know that he doesn't have a credit line with the supplier?
You can have a credit line with the supplier, but the credit line is going to be 30, 60 days, one of the two, maybe 90 at the most. But it takes 3 months lead for the material to be delivered. So the payment.
Who'd you buy windows from?
Huh?
Who'd you buy windows from?
PGT.
No, never heard of them. I used to sell windows back in the day, man. It was a good gig.
Yeah, PGT. I did the lookup. I always thought Pella was the best window in the United States, and it turns out that Pella is number 2. PGT is number 1.
What about Certainty? You ever heard of that company called Certainty Windows?
No.
That's what I got.
I thought it was Pella Anderson.
Anderson's out there, but Pella is by itself. So the way I saw it, it was PGT, Pella, and then Anderson.
What kind of guarantee or warranty they give you? Lifetime or?
Yeah, I'm getting what they call impact windows. So these windows are supposed to be able to withstand a piece of 2x4 flying in a Cat 5 hurricane, direct impact.
Oh wow!
Are you planning on pissing off your wife or what? What are you?
No, what I wanted to make sure was she wouldn't have to worry about boarding up the windows if a bad hurricane was coming in town.
Oh, I thought you just didn't want her throwing you through one.
No.
It works from the inside too, right?
Yeah, it works from the inside too. But no, that's not what I was worried about. What I was worried about was, once your windows are compromised in a hurricane, that's how you lose your roof.
Yeah, because air rushes
air pressure inside of the house increases so greatly it blows the roof off the top.
It blows out the weakest point. Most times it's the roof.
So we didn't have that option when I was selling windows. We were offering like Energy E-Glass. Yeah. We were offering Venetian blinds sandwiched between 2 panes of glass.
Yeah.
I think we could do double pane, triple pane, and four pane glass.
So my storm door, my slider from my bedroom out onto the patio,
$2,500.
My slider is double pane with the Venetian blinds built in the middle.
Okay.
Not $2,500.
That's $5,000. That's $5,000.
No, it was $1,200.
Really?
That's not bad.
Anderson.
I thought a bit more than that.
That's Anderson.
Oh, it's Anderson. It's not the PTE.
Not the PGT. No.
How much was the PGT?
I didn't even look at PGT. I bought at Home Depot. I looked at Anderson because they tried to sell me some cheaper models and everything, and I was like, no, I'll go with the Anderson. It's not impact, but it's still required to be able to withstand objects flying in a Cat 3 hurricane.
Well, I've been told that those 2x4s in a hurricane are zooming.
That punch through a brick wall.
I can't see any glass. Yeah, I can't see any glass withstanding a hit like that.
Yeah, they're like missiles.
This is supposed to be able to do it. I know when one time we had a hurricane that was supposed to be coming right up Tampa Bay. Everybody's freaking out. We're going to get 20 feet of storm surge in Tampa Bay. They're telling my entire neighborhood to bug out. We're going to get 125, 130 mile an hour winds. Friends of mine are calling me up, come over and help me board up my windows. I'm at Home Depot thinking, all right, I'm going to get some plywood and do my house, right? And the guy that's works in the, where you get all the construction stuff, comes up to me and he says, dude, you've been buying this particular window, haven't you? I said, yeah, I got my whole house done. Why? He says, oh, that window, you don't have to worry about boarding up. That window is rated for this hurricane.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, okay, cool. So now I just got to figure out how to make sure that my patio drains properly so that because what happens here, the previous owner, instead of getting rid of the dirt when they put the pool in, they distributed the dirt around the backyard. And now the backyard and part of the patio is actually higher than the patio in the house. So the patio could theoretically flood and get deep enough that the water gets into the house.
What about like your garage door? Does it have to be that energy stuff too? What about the breach of air?
My what?
Your garage. Do you have a garage?
His previous owner converted that into a family room, and I converted it into a kitchen.
So it's it's solid wall where the door used to be at.
Yeah, it's a cinder block wall. I do have 2 36-inch wide windows in there, but it's cinder block above and below.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's good.
What about you? You deal with hurricanes down there, Colette?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Nah, we're far enough inland. We might get a tropical storm at the worst because they weaken as they come inland. And we're right up against some eastern slopes of the Blue Ridge Mountains. By the time I think the worst we ever had here was Hurricane Fran in '96. We might have got 60 mile an hour winds out of at the worst. It took some power out, some tree limbs down, but
that happens sometimes in an afternoon thunderstorm.
Right, exactly. We've had afternoon worse than that, exactly.
60 mile an hour winds, but you get snow too, don't you, John?
Oh yeah, we get sometimes. We don't get like we used to, but we still get some.
Believe it or not, Paul, we've actually gotten snow in Tampa.
I think I remember hearing about that in a freak.
A whole 1/10 of an inch. They call it the blizzard of '78 down here too. Yeah. A whole 1/10 of an inch of snow.
A 1/10 of an inch. Did it snow in Key West too?
I have no idea. I know it snowed once since I moved down here, but unless you were standing outside with a piece of black construction paper, you wouldn't have known it was snow.
But your trained eye could tell, right?
No, the weatherman told me. I stood out in it. I thought it was just a cold drizzle. And he said, no, if you'd have held out a piece of black construction paper, you would have seen it was snow.
Right, frozen.
Well, I remember riding the bus to school in Scituate and watching, what was that girl's name? Norzella Brunhilde.
One of your girlfriends over in that area.
That girl's name that lived on was it Country? I don't know. It's Countryway.
Countryway. She probably lived over there on Pleasant Street, over there off of Ann Vinyl.
No, Ann Vinyl. She was on Ann Vinyl Street, just up from Pammy's house.
Okay.
Oh gosh, that woman's name is gonna come to me. But her cousin had just come over from the old country, and it was the first snow, and he was outside in his it was almost like a disco outfit, the silk shirt and the dancing pants and the platform shoes, just amazed at the snow.
That's what I keep saying to my Puerto Rican buddies is Puerto Rico is down in a nice tropical area. How do you end up in New York City and Boston?
You don't even own a coat. It's like the toboggan, the Jamaican bobsled team, right?
And the Haitians end up in Boston. And it's like, seriously?
No, the Haitians do what's called Miami, baby. They're down in Florida big time.
They're up in Boston big time too.
I was down there for Hurricane Andrew. We took a crew down to clean up, and it was all over the radio. They were trying to stop the Haitians from coming in.
Yep.
Big time.
They've been up pissed off for years because the Cubans had that wet foot, dry foot thing where if you could get on dry land in the Key West, you could stay. Right. But you had to evade the Coast Guard and get on dry land.
Right.
If your toes were still wet when the Coast Guard caught you, you were going back to Cuba.
That's true. I remember hearing about that.
Haitians were like,
business. We should have made personal submarines for all of them.
Haitians were like, wait a minute, I got to dry land. They shut me back to Haiti anyways.
You should have told them you were from Cuba. I came through Cuba.
Hey, Paul, let me ask you something. Not to switch the subject up. What are they going to do about the city council meetings in Flint, man? Being all this stuff come down from the state Supreme Court where they took the governor's power away. How are they going to do the city council meetings? Have they told you anything yet?
Well, actually, they have. The governor. Oh, wait a minute. The legislature. Well, what the deal was we weren't allowed to do electronic phone-in meetings. You couldn't.
Right. That's what I was talking about. I know the one that got canceled this week.
Yeah. So they canceled this one. They're waiting for the governor. The legislator passed a new bill Monday that allows us to do remote meetings with over the phone.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So waiting for the governor to sign it, but it's got a new caveat. You have to be within the municipality of which the meeting is held.
Well, city council is all within Flint anyway, isn't it?
Right, but if if my mom's sick in Ohio and I have to go to Ohio,
right,
I can't call in the meeting. Here, the city council is a part-time job. So right. Say my boss sends me on a conference, somewhere, and it's during a council meeting, I can't call in from my hotel room and participate in the meeting. I don't understand that caveat, what they were thinking that it was going to accomplish. You guys think of a reason for it?
Nope, it's ridiculous.
No.
Ridiculous.
I think it's just folks justifying their jobs.
Yeah.
We got to make up some kind of rule.
You got to have some bureaucracy in everything.
And everything, right.
Yeah.
So maybe it's in there, maybe it's not. I actually called the office this afternoon at 3:00 to see if I needed to be here Monday for the meeting, and she said she didn't know yet.
Right.
So now it's after 5 Friday. I haven't heard from anybody. The council has to, by law, post
24 hours ahead of time.
48 hours before the meeting. So if they don't get word by tomorrow noon or tomorrow 5:00, they could have it Tuesday.
Right. As soon as.
Right, instead of Monday. When the next meeting is scheduled for the following Monday anyway, kind of. So it could go either way. And then with elections beating down on everybody, the same people that do the council meetings are responsible for the elections.
Right.
So they already got their handful, and now they get backed up with this crud.
Timing was terrible on that, wasn't it?
Man, it was horrible. It was horrible. And maybe Gretchen should have negotiated,
I think she was trying to save lives, which I don't blame.
People who are worried about getting COVID are doing everything they possibly can to not get it.
Right.
People that aren't worried about it aren't.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of staying away from folks that you want to stay away from. And hang out with folks that you want to hang out. Me and my son were cracking up the other day. I'm sitting on the porch, and we heard this band playing. And we got a bar that's probably about 4 blocks up the street. And it was sounding good. It's 10:00 at night. It was a beautiful fall evening, and the music was sounding good. And then the first thing I said is, man, I want to go check it out. And then the second thing I said is, but I'm not. So I was telling my son that, and he said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
He heard the music. It sounded so appealing.
Yeah, inviting. Yeah.
His better self said, "Nah, it sounds like a bunch of people."
I'm the same way too. They had 3 or 4 people invite me out to go get drinks, and I said, "Man, I'm not doing it. Y'all come to my house. I'll fix y'all."
Right.
I'm not
against being outside. I'm not really against being outside, but I'm not. I'm treating it like the flu.
Yeah, I don't want that either. Exactly.
Right, and I try to avoid the flu all the time.
I do too.
When I realized it was coming from the schools every year, I was staying away from my kids for the first 2 weeks of school. No, y'all get your little asses away from me. I can't afford to get sick. Mama, come get these boys. If I go down, the whole family goes down. So you can't be messing with me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I got a little drama with YouTube going on, Timmy.
Oh, are they banning you too?
They put me in jail, dude.
For what?
It is the stupidest thing ever. During the city council meetings, right? During the executive sessions, I play music. And I play music from people that I have permission to play music from.
You got a copyright strike against you.
Got a copyright strike from me for a guy's music I've been playing for 20 years. 20 years I've been playing this music.
They're playing hard.
Every couple years, they'll send me a notice saying, blah, 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 you made this song and we want to take the monetization. And I reply, I have permission from this guy. He's the author, he's the singer, and it would go away. Then a couple years later, it hit, blah, blah, blah. Then recently, I'm going to say within the last 3 years, they started taking the monetization of whatever the song was in. Right? And I'm okay with that. That 12 cents ain't going to hurt me. You know what I mean? Jeez, oh, Pete.
It's funny because I loaded up a video last week. It was the 50th anniversary of a local skate park we got here in Lynchburg, or indoor skate land. That song "Car Wash" from 1970 something was playing in the background. I didn't think no more about it, but I was recording. They were bringing out the cake and all. That song was playing on the PA system in the skating ring. And I loaded that thing up. Next day, I got a copyright strike. They didn't take it down, but they said they either going to review it for the copyright owner, or they was going to monetize it for them. Which, I'm like you, I don't care. Right. I won't try to do it to get revenue off the thing. But
I had a whole
thing I want to know is, can you use when you use like a telephone or cell phone to record video? Is there any way you can just mute the damn audio from being recorded at all?
I had the same thing happen with a Facebook Live feed. I was shooting a firework display, a video or gone live, I should say, with a fireworks display. And because they were playing songs in the background at the baseball stadium, they cut me. They cut my audio because they were playing copyrighted songs on the PA system.
Yeah.
And were you? But you weren't talking or commentating over it or anything like that. It was just the music playing by itself, right?
It was the fireworks and the music.
Yeah.
He was mainly just shooting the fireworks, and music just had to be in the background. You won't even think about the music world.
Well, there's a thing called fair use, and you can use other people's copywritten materials for comment, commentary, and satire.
Oh, I see.
And that's it. You know what I mean? I don't understand how these folks on Facebook say, I don't own the rights to this music. And that stuff stays up. Well,
I said the same thing. How the hell does that work out?
I don't know. But there's an option on Facebook or YouTube, which I use all the time, and it will mute. I do funerals, right? And during the funeral, I don't want to tell people what kind of music to play. You know what I mean?
Right.
While the funeral's going on and while it's live, they don't mess with me. But once it's not live and they can go back to it and watch it later, they will do a copyright hit on me.
Yeah.
But in the software, I can tell it to mute the song. So it'll say this song is from 2 minutes and 3 seconds to 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Would you like us to mute it? And I'll mute it every time.
Huh. I just wish there's a way. It's got to be a way, like on the iPhone, you can just mute your audio when you're recording in live.
I'm thinking on an iPhone in the record there may be a mute button.
I looked for it. I couldn't find it. Plus.
No, in my software, in my switcher software that I pay for,
right, I
can do it.
Yeah.
And then there's another
software what you're doing in real time.
Right. There's another piece of free software called Mimeo Live. Mimeo Live. Right. And it will probably allow you to mute your microphone as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul?
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine today post a video she took while cruising in her boat on the Mississippi River up in Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
And Facebook pulled it down saying somebody else claimed it was their copyrighted material.
The song or the video of them?
The video, this woman just sat there and videotaped her trip on the Mississippi River. No people are involved anywhere in it. It's just filming a section of the Mississippi River, put it on her Facebook feed. Somebody complained to Facebook that it's their copyrighted material, so it got pulled.
Well, you can't copyright a river ride. You can't copyright a river ride.
But that's where we're at today. Facebook pulled the video rather than argue.
Rob, give her.
Well, no, their logarithm pulled the video. You know what I mean? Once the guy made the complaint, the report, it flagged the video
automatically.
Put it in a suspended state until they review the flag. I could see that being a simple business practice. I mean, come on. You got to have a way to curate some stuff.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech ain't free, Timmy.
Yeah, I know. Freedom of speech ain't free.
That's like, Twitter had blocked that New York Post story about Joe Biden's son.
You know that
now they done reversed that now.
You know, Twitter's getting sued right now.
Yeah.
I heard.
No, they're getting sued by a woman down here in Florida that's running in the Florida 13th Congressional District.
Uh-huh.
She tried to get her Twitter account verified when she was running in the primaries, and they kept saying to her, "No, we won't do it because you are not the candidate running in the general election." So then she wins the primary and turns to Twitter and says, "Okay, now I'm running in the general election. Go ahead and validate my account." And to this day, the primary election was over in August. Till this day, Twitter has not validated her account, and so she's now suing Twitter for election interference.
Republican or Democrat?
She's a Republican.
How do you verify an account? Either way, you have to apply for that or what?
Well, I was just hired to do a campaign, a voters campaign.
Right.
And I have to get verified through Facebook in order to put any ads up that have to do with the campaign or the census.
Oh, I see.
And they have a deadline. They won't accept any ads that have a political message or a census message after, I think it was the 22nd of October.
Right.
It's a blackout on placing new ads. Existing ads can run, and then all ads have to cease on November 3rd.
And when you verify, they want your driver's license, everything, correct? Or
they didn't ask me a whole bunch of stuff. It was pretty much like verifying your account.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it requires from Twitter to become verified, but they refuse. She told me, I spoke to her about it. She said they refused to verify her in the primary because they said she was not yet the candidate taking on the Democrat in the general election.
That sounds so wrong.
And then she got she won the primary.
Right.
Went back to Twitter and they told her, nope, we're still not going to verify your account.
See, I can't remember if it's Twitter or LinkedIn, but it's like you get verified after you send the damn email back that they send to you.
Yeah.
They send the email to verify that that email is correct, and you click on it and it says you've been verified. Yeah.
So earlier this week,
but maybe as a political candidate.
Or earlier this week, she filed a complaint with the FEC that Twitter is actually actively meddling in elections and giving how do they call that, the undue in-kind contributions to the Democrats' campaign.
Well, it is a private business, can't they?
No, you can't. You cannot. If you're gonna contribute, you either have to call it a contribution and put a monetary value on it, or you have to give both sides equal time.
No. Chick-fil-A is not going to give any gay folks no equal time.
Chick-fil-A also does not. Chick-fil-A runs business commercials. They're not running political ads.
I can see the difference. I mean, I can see them specifying it as different, but it's a company, and they can choose to support whatever side they want.
If your show invites the Democrat to come on and give him fair time, but you don't give a Republican equal time, your show is considered a in-kind donation that the Democrat has to claim on his campaign contributions.
You mean like Bill Hannity and Rush Limbaugh?
Sean Hannity, if you listen to him, he specifically tells Joe Biden, call my show and I'll put you right on the air. I'm giving you free and open time. And he's doing that for that reason. And Rush Limbaugh, the same thing, for that specific reason. They're telling, we keep asking Joe Biden to come on our show, and he says no. Now, if they offer and the candidate says no, then all bets are off.
Yeah, I used to have to send letters when I did political shows in the 80s. If I had one candidate on, I had to send a letter to all of them, inviting them on.
Right. If they refuse, that's on them.
Huh?
If they refuse, that's on them.
Exactly.
At least you did make the effort to send out an invitation.
And that's the only requirement, is that you have to send out the invitation.
Yeah, make the offer.
But Chick-fil-A's got gay people work for them. I know the one here in Lynchburg. We got 4 in Lynchburg, and one of the business ones they got in the country is right down about 2 miles where I live at. And the manager's about as gay as he comes, but he's a nice guy, and everybody loves him. He does a great job.
The biggest problem people have with Chick-fil-A is they won't open on Sunday. Oh, my God, they're a Christian entity. They won't open on
Sunday. They won't open on Sundays. They sure won't.
Right. I ain't mad at them. But, let your atheists run it on Sunday.
Hey, y'all got a Chick-fil-A in Flint, Paul?
No, we do not. Actually, one of my friends is, I'm going to call him, he was on here with us, Dennis Squires.
Right.
He works for Chick-fil-A.
And he said, got one up there. Boy, that's a.
He said there's two. There's one in Grand Rapids and there's one in Muskegon or something like that. They were all far away. But when I was on my last road trip to Nashville,
right,
I stopped at a Chick-fil-A and got their chicken nuggets.
Right.
And they're nuggets, man. They're really nuggets.
Yeah.
I got one less than 5 minutes away from my house, Jeff.
Yeah, I got 4 within 3 miles where I'm at.
But I'll tell you, as much as I love this spicy chicken sandwich,
yeah,
it doesn't touch Popeyes.
We're getting the Popeyes. I got that last week. They put one on. There used to be a Taco Bell in that building. Popeyes is working on it now. I hadn't tried Popeyes yet.
I love Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich. But what I like even better than Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich is Popeyes spicy chicken. Right? I go in there, Popeyes, guaranteed. It's going to be a 3-piece meal, all thighs, spicy.
There you go. But I will try it because we got one coming. I think it's probably after the first year if it opens up.
There go Paul. He's going to Popeyes.
There he goes.
I make you hungry, Paul?
Yeah, he's going to get something to drink, I bet you.
You're going to get some Popeyes, I know.
I'm surprised.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
I'm surprised Split don't have a Chick-fil-A. I think it'd be in that mall area. That's where they generally put them at.
Boston doesn't have one. Boston doesn't have a Popeyes. They don't have a Chick-fil-A.
So I gotta wait until the show was over.
Look at him.
He already got his Popeyes.
He's got it.
Got the big one too, baby.
Now you're gonna make me get in my truck and go for a ride.
Man, you might have to because this thing is popping right here.
I'm gonna get something.
Oh man,
gotta have it.
Popeyes.
3-piece, all thighs, spicy.
Dude, out of habit, I'm used to buying the big box for the family. Mama, Marcus, and Paul, and me. So I keep buying it, and it's just me and Mama. So we usually have 3 days worth of chicken.
I was gonna say
over.
And Angela looked like she maybe take one piece and a half a biscuit.
Half a wing a day at best. So I got 12 thighs and 6 legs in here to eat. So the dogs are just happy when they see this box come in. Because they know I'm not gonna, I got a 3-day rule. The food gotta go after 3 days.
So Isaac and Newton are all your best friend for 3 days, huh?
They love me. They love me because they know what's coming.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
So now, what are you guys doing to stock up on for food for this next lockdown? What are you guys doing?
No more lockdowns, brother.
No more lockdowns?
No. I hope not. I mean, I'll do canned goods, stuff like that and all, keep it simple. Because, it might be a short one and it might be a long one. Canned goods, that stuff keeps, man, forever.
You don't think there's going to be a lockdown, Timmy?
You what you want me to tell you, that I'm listening to Glenn Beck and I'm buying them barricade in rations because
rations. Some bucket food.
I'm gonna last 25 years on your shelf freeze dried rations.
The bucket food, man. Don't be talking to this. The bucket food. What's wrong with bucket food?
I have a hurricane locker in my house. And because down here, the first thing they're going to tell you if you're expecting a hit is you need to be able to provide for yourself for at least the first 3 days after the storm. Make sure you got 3 days of water, 3 days of food, 3 days of medicine, 3 days. Take care of yourself. And by then, the government will be back up functioning and ready to help you out.
Okay.
So,
seems a little optimistic. I would at least go for a week, 10 days.
7 days I would.
But see, the thing I always do, I mean, we got the cabinet that's full of all the canned goods and the dry goods and all that. But I also have a well-stocked deep freezer, and I usually keep about 4 days worth of gas for my generator in the shed.
That's a good idea.
And my generator can keep my deep freezer and my refrigerator going.
Yeah, I got the transfer on my breaker box. I can run from the outside. I can run refrigerator and a few other things.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, Jeff, you got 30 seconds. What do you want to say?
I want y'all guys to have a good weekend. Go out and do something exciting this weekend. Don't get in trouble, man. Don't catch anything either. But go out and have a good time and and share the love. Let people know, it's not as bad. It could be worse. And keep a smile on your face. Try to stay positive. We're going to all get through this mess.
Nice. Timmy?
I'm going to tell people I discovered a new show. Terry Bradshaw, former football all-star, has a show called The Bradshaw Bunch on, I think it's E! And if you want to have some good mindless laugh, that, in the words of another famous Texan, that boy ain't right, I'll tell you what.
Well, I fell in love with, I actually got to see Star Trek Discovery last night, and I really want to talk to somebody about it because I'm confused as heck. But hey, listen, if you guys are interested in doing what we do, you want to do your own show, you want a podcast, radio, television, whatever it is, we're determined to make a difference, and we need you to too. Give us a call at 810-239-2901. That's 810-239-2901. And remember, we need you to enjoy the life you're living just until you can live the life you'll enjoy.
Hey.
Hey.